Welcome back, Truth Seeker. We've talked a lot about deaths and Super Bowl 60. And of course, for the last decade, I've talked about deaths in the Super Bowl and the NBA Finals and the World Series and the World Cup and award ceremonies. Again, celebrities drop like flies when these big events come around, and somehow nobody blinks an eye. And a lot of these deaths are really obvious rituals. Like, case in point, the 1960 NFL champion Sonny Jorgensen, dead right before Super Bowl 60 and dead in the town where the college is called the Seahawks. Not to mention he played for the other Washington team, and he also played for the Eagles. This year it's Washington State with the Seahawks, which is a Eagle. But I saw something very strange today in this little town I live in, Prosser, Washington, which is the home of Kellen Moore, who became an NFL coach this past season, where his home state and his favorite team ended up winning the Super Bowl. Where I work out in Prosser, the town I now live in, there's a mega church across the street from the gym. And for the first time in my life, the parking lot was totally full today. And it wasn't just full, it was full of limousines, it was full of police cars. And in my mind, I thought, must be a funeral. And something tells me it has something to do with this NFL season. So when I got home, I looked up online whose funeral it was. I was almost tempted to walk over there, but I don't know the people and I don't want to intrude on a funeral. But I looked it up and it was a woman, and I read her obituary and it didn't say how she died and didn't have any answers. So I looked up her name in local news and I saw that she was recently killed in a police chase. I thought, this reminds me of the Marshawn Kneeland story earlier this year. Remember Marshawn Kneeland of the Cowboys had a big game on Monday Night Football, which was the Kneeler's birthday. Colin Kaepernick, he scored a defensive touchdown on Colin Kaepernick's birthday. The Kneeler, Marshawn Kneeland did. And if I remember correctly, he died at 23 days after Jerry Jones's birthday. And at first, they just reported he had died, and there was no explanation. And then a couple hours later, it came out that he died in a police chase. Seems kind of weird. And no footage has ever been released of this supposed police chase. There was another death this year. The name is evading me, but you'll recall, we covered it then. There was an NFL player, former NFL player, who died this year in police custody as well. And for years, I've talked about the song Murder by Numbers from 1983 by The Police, where killing is as simple as ABC is 1, 2, 3, and how it's the sport of the elite to murder people. We're going to break this down because all kinds of things look suspicious here. This woman died 4 days after her birthday, right before the Super Bowl, and not to mention her birthday was the anniversary of the Seahawks winning their only Super Bowl prior to this past Sunday. And we're going to see how this is seemingly synced with Kellen Moore. Earlier this, or I guess it was last year now, they burned up part of this town, including Kellen Moore's old high school, synced with him in a no doubt fire ritual. But anyway, let's start off by listening to what the GM said of the Seattle Seahawks right after they won the Super Bowl, in light of death and championships, a theme that I have really beat the drum on for a long time, and it drives me nuts that sports fans don't notice. We're going to start right here with Kellen Moore, John Schneider, the GM of the Seahawks, who just won the Super Bowl 106 days from his birthday for the 12s and the 106th season for Seattle, Washington. We'll start right here. And I noticed that he went to school in Indiana. Remember who won the college championship this year, the 19th state, Indiana. Right before Seattle, the 19th city, takes the Super Bowl after taking a 19-0 lead on the anniversary of the Kobe statue going up, 19 feet tall. But yeah, let's start right here. Take a listen. And let me know if the audio is good. This is John Schneider, the GM of the Seahawks, after winning the Super Bowl.
Here we go. We had a lot of angels this year. Angels. I lost my father the day after the Houston game this year. And we had angels all year. Ernest lost his father. Jake Bobo lost his father. Drew Lock lost his father. Charles Cross lost his father. TB lost his brother. It's real. Angels, faith, watching over us. I know my father has been watching over us the whole time. We lost one game since my father passed. With those angels, we know that Paul Allen has watched over us. To Paul Allen and Jody, Paul would be so proud of you the way you've led this organization and allowed us to be where we are. To Jody Allen!
And notice he had to be drunk as he talked about it. We're going to go back and look. He said his dad died the day after the Houston game. Top two defenses in the NFL were Houston and Seattle. But don't forget, Paul Allen died right after Pete Carroll became the winningest coach in Seattle history. And I still remember everything about that ritual off the top. Pete Carroll picked up his 82nd win with Seattle. Big number there, like the Super Bowl's on the 8th day of the second month. Again, if you're new here, Gematria, learn this. Learn this and see through the rigged games, see through the ritualistic killings. Seattle up 19-0 on the anniversary of the 19-foot-tall Kobe Bryant statue going up when, of course, they have a Kobe Bryant on the team who had a nice Kobe Bryant interception. I think he was supposed to have one in the game. Drake May did throw that ball up for him, and he had it in his hands, and he dropped it. He might have blown the script there, Kobe. Because the next play was just thrown right to Love, right? After Kobe dropped the interception, then Drake May just threw it to nobody but Love on the Seahawks. Again, I don't know how people don't see this. It was reminiscent of Peyton Manning's performance against the Saints, giving the Saints their first Super Bowl. Don't forget, the Saints get flooded. They win the Super Bowl. Seattle wins the Super Bowl 60 days after the flooding in the Seattle area. But yeah, don't forget the 10-7 score for the Patriots, where they had 206 total yards of offense right before Seattle played the 206 area code and won the Super Bowl. This year, their kicker sets a record with 206 points in a season, like Russell Wilson had 206 passing yards in Super Bowl 48. Again, Seattle's the 206. And just with regards to the Paul Allen death, look at this. Wembley Stadium. This is where Pete Carroll became the winningest coach in Seattle history right before Paul Allen died. Wembley Stadium, 206. And if you go back, Seattle beat the Raiders in that game. The Raiders, who Pete Carroll coached this year. And from the last time the Raiders had played from the last time the Raiders and Seahawks had played until the Seahawks beat the Raiders and keep in mind, for you guys who are younger, they used to be in the same conference and division, the Raiders and Seahawks. Bo Jackson had his epic injury versus the Seahawks. But from that last Raiders-Seahawks game to the one in Wembley Stadium 206 weeks later, where Pete Carroll became the winningest coach in Seattle history, picking up his 82nd win. So, yeah, there were a ton of deaths leading up to this Super Bowl, as we covered. Former 49ers dead at 60, and then a couple days later, the 49ers' greatest quarterback before Joe Montana's dead. And anyway, let's look at this civilian from the area where Kellen Moore's from, who just had her funeral today in Kellen Moore's hometown on 60-date numerology. Again, it just smelled way too fishy, because living in this small town, that church gets a pretty good turnout on Sunday. It has a huge parking lot. It's ridiculous. It's like a Walmart parking lot. And the lot's probably halfway full on Sundays, which is pretty good because the parking lot's big. But today it was packed. Everything was all the way full. Police there, limousines. I was like, who died? Like, what is going on here? And then sure enough, I get home and look it up. Oh, this woman just died in a police chase. And the thing is, she died Friday night. Remember all the deaths we covered from Friday? Barry Wilburn burned up in his house, former NFL player. He died in a house fire. Barry Wilburn burned up, house fire, 106. That was the same night Sonny Jorgensen died, who played for the same teams as Barry Wilburn, the other Washington team, and the Eagles. Again, Jorgensen, the champion in 1960. He's dead in Wilmington, North Carolina, not far from where Drake May's from, but the home of the Seahawks, the college team, who we took advantage of Monday night afterwards with the rigged same numbers in the Super Bowl for their upset at Chattanooga. But anyway, look at this. Let's go through this from top to bottom. So when I looked at her obituary and read it, there wasn't anything super suspicious here. But I noticed, I was like, huh, she has the same birthday as the anniversary of the Seahawks winning their only Super Bowl. And again, when I first read the obituary, I hadn't found the article yet about how she was killed in a police chase. And they were chasing after somebody else, and they're blaming it on the 18-year-old that they were chasing that killed her. But something tells me this 18-year-old is getting the crime pinned on him. He might have done something else. I'm going to show you just how perfect the 18-year-old's name is. You'd never believe that it equals 60, like the funerals today on 60 date numerology. I'm actually going to look into see if I can visit this 18-year-old since this story is all local. I wonder if we can get to him. And I also want to look at the district attorney who doesn't want him released on anything. The district attorney who's going after him, his name just happens to equal 106, and it has the most bizarre spelling of Eric I've ever seen in my life. Again, this was the 106th season. But yeah, Maria Mendoza, dead at 57. And again, if you're new here, 57 is a huge championship number, as we often talk about. And funny enough, her name equals 57. And funny enough, police chase equals 57. Again, if you're new here, there are 4 base ciphers of the English language. It's the lens we look at news and sports through every day. I learned about this in a book that's nearly 100 years old, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. It is based on the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. Learning about this explains why there is an alphabetic order. And again, this old world practice of coding numbers into words is biblical. It goes back to the ancient languages that the Bible's written in. I might also have to talk to the people at the church, but I don't really trust people in the church, to be perfectly honest. I do wonder why they chose. I guess it's because this church is probably the biggest one in the region. But anyway, Maria Mendoza, 57. When you run it in reverse, police chase 57. And when you spell out 57 as a word, it equals 131, like Super Bowl, like championship. Again, we talk about this same stuff over and over. For you Seahawk fans out there, it's time to give up your fandom and see what this league really is. The Seahawks, when they just won the Super Bowl the other night, that was their 131st win as a franchise since their last Super Bowl, since Super Bowl 48. And Mike McDonald was hired on 131, 739 days before the Super Bowl, the 131st prime number. Again, all this stuff's tied in. Cal Raleigh hitting 60 home runs this year, who's from the Carolinas. Then Seattle wins Super Bowl 60 over Drake May from the Carolinas. The death of Sonny Jorgensen in the Carolinas. In the Seahawks town, the college team there in Wilmington. But okay. They say in the story, let me scroll down to the story here. Let's read the story and then we'll come back up. A Grandview woman died after a suspected drunk driver crashed into her while being chased by police Friday evening. This is February 6th, the night that Sonny Jorgensen died. Again, Wilburn, Terrence Gore, 3-time champion in the MLB, who won his first World Series the year of Super Bowl 49, which the Seahawks just avenged. And again, remember, Terrence Gore equal. All these guys have the 129 connection too. Like Seahawks equals 129, and they became 12-9 versus the Patriots, as Sam Darnold finished the season on 129 career touchdowns. A Grandview woman died after a suspected drunk driver crashed into her vehicle while being chased by police Friday evening. This is 2 days before the Super Bowl. The crash happened in the eastbound lane, 2 days before, like how the Seahawks got to 2-2. The crash happened in the eastbound lanes of I-182. Remember that. We're going to come back to that, because we're going to go back and look at what Russell Wilson's headline was on her birthday. Again, it's creepy. The crash happened in the eastbound lanes of I-182 near the exit of SR 395, and we'll see how there's a big 12 right where she crashed for the 12s. Exit of SR 395 to Kennewick around 7:40 p.m. 7:40. How many times have I talked about killing in 74? I mean, talked about it in both my books. I decided to start my last book teaching about killing in 74 because the Cooties 19 simulation, right before the whole thing broke out up here in Washington State, was on the day leaving 74 days left in the year. October 18th. Maria Mendoza, 57, of Grandview, was driving eastbound on I-182 when she was hit by a pickup being driven by Pedro Ruiz, 18, of Othello. According to the Washington State Patrol, Ruiz was driving in the westbound lanes, lost control of the pickup, and rolled over the cable barrier. Ruiz crashed into Mendoza's vehicle before both vehicles came to a rest in the eastbound lanes. So this is the story, and it does make one wonder. But again, when you have the authorities telling you the story and what happened, and we see this suspicious car crash crap all the time with dead football players and car crashes. Another thing we've covered a million times. Again, it just makes you wonder, especially when the entertainment world had the band The Police do the song Murder by Numbers in 83. And for the record, murder equals 83. So does football. Mendoza died at the scene. Ruiz was treated for minor injuries and was arrested. At the time of the crash, officers with the Pasco Police Department had been pursuing Ruiz, whom they suspected was a drunk driver. According to the Washington State Patrol, charges are pending against Ruiz. Mendoza's family was notified Friday night of the crash. Both eastbound and westbound lanes of I-82 were shut down. One lane of westbound traffic reopened just before 11 p.m. Friday. Just before 11. The scene was cleared Saturday morning, just one of those recurring numbers in their ritualism. 11, the master number. And for football, the game of 11 on 11. More information is expected to be released in the coming days. So, we have this about his court appearance. He appeared in court the day after the Super Bowl. Franklin Deputy Prosecutor Eric. Has anybody ever seen the name Eric spelled E-R-E-K? Because I've known about a million Erics in my life, and I've never seen it spelled that way. Not ever. Eric Puccio lists the reasons for Superior Court Judge Bronson Brown why the prosecution is requesting $1 million bail for suspect Pedro Andres Ruiz, 18 of Othello. Ruiz is accused of negligent vehicular homicide in an attempt to elude in a fatal crash that killed Maria C. Mendoza, 57 of Grandview on February 6th in Pasco. So this prosecutor's name is 106 with a super bizarre spelling. Again, a lot of 106s connected to this 106th season and death from the whole beginning. Again, the original Seahawks franchise, the Colts that started as the Miami Seahawks. Jim Irsay dead 106 days before the 106th NFL season kicks off. Who's dead right before kickoff? Armani, 106. As the Eagles, like Armani's logo's the eagle, win the 106th home game versus their division, and a million other 106s that transpired this year. But yeah, Eric Puccio, 106. John Schneider talking about how everybody and their mom died connected to the Seahawks team this year. And he said it was those angels from those deaths that put him over the finish line. Again, and let's not even overlook that he's 54 years old and Catholic educated. Of course, that's the number of the Jesuits. But yeah, 106 days from his birthday, he wins the Super Bowl, goes on the field and talks about everybody who died this year. Again, Seattle WA 106. If you write out Seattle, Washington, the small way, it's 94. Like they won the 94th season and now they've won the 106th season. And did you guys see that they brought up a Kurt Cobain murder thing? Remember, Kurt Cobain died in 94 days after Bill and Melinda Gates got married, but also 206 days before Bill Gates' birthday, the year that Bill Gates became a celebrity. And don't forget, Bill Gates' mother died in 1994 as well. And then his dad eventually died at age 94. Just like Russell Wilson lost his grandfather at 94 after he won the 94 season. But yeah, just about 12s equaling 106. This is where this woman died, where this red dot is on the map. No, notice what this route is also. It's Route 12 for the 12s. I'm going to have to look into if there's some kind of Robert Frost joke here. Robert Frost, the poet, because where she died is right next to Robert Frost Elementary School. And we know these psychopaths, these secret society types. And again, for all you guys who don't get it, the police officers, a lot of them are in secret societies. Look into the Fraternal Order of Police, which is completely Masonic, just like how all these American sports are credited to Freemasons. And Freemasonry is based in Kabbalah. Kabbalah. Again, Kabbalah is where this practice of coding numbers into words comes from. But yeah, the articles written about her death constantly refer to her as a Grandview woman. Do you recognize that 169? Talked a lot about that. That was the same pattern we took advantage of with the college basketball game when the Seahawks of Wilmington, North Carolina, where Sonny Jorgensen died the same night as her, when they upset Chattanooga, they dropped Chattanooga to 16-9. But remember, Drake May came out before the Super Bowl and said his favorite Bible verse is Proverbs 16:9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Again, he's down 9-0 at the half. He's down 16 points by the end of the game. And remember, Sam Darnold equals 169 like Seattle Seahawks. The day of Maria Mendoza's birthday, 4 days before her death, right before the Seahawks appear in their fourth Super Bowl. Russell Wilson is named in the Epstein files. And again, look at his headline. Not today, Satan. 169. Also 43. Like the Seahawks won that Super Bowl with Wilson with 43 points, 43-8. Run it in reverse, 182. This is the route she just died on. She died on 182. 182. And for the record, 182 is the 139th composite number, and Freemasonry equals 139, as does America. In a nation founded by a bunch of Masons. Run it in reverse with numerology. Not today's Satan, 74. Just like George Washington's 74, like Masonic, like occult, like killing, like how they said she died at approximately 7:40 p.m. Remember, Dick Geron died a year to the day of the Super Bowl, former NFL coach at age 74. He died in Massachusetts. Obviously, it was Seahawks, Patriots. And remember, the Super Bowl was reffed by number 14 days before George Washington's birthday. And Sam Darnold improved to 1-4 versus the Patriots. Number 14 did. As for her funeral being today, it can be written 12/2 or 2/12. National Football League 122, like satanic. Seattle and San Francisco are both on the 122nd meridian. The Church of Satan was founded in San Francisco. With regards to the Church of Satan, there were 666 passing yards, or not passing, total yards of offense in this year's Super Bowl. And look at that. Look, I was missing this detail. When Seattle was up 12-0 for the 12s, New England only had 78 yards of offense. 78 is the 12th triangular number, meaning if you had 1 through 12, it equals 78. Brady talked about how the only time he played in Seattle was October 14th, the day leaving 78 days left in the year. Of course, he was number 12 when the Seahawks lost to Brady and the Patriots in Super Bowl 49. Again, Russell Wilson stayed on 12 completions. His 21st pass got picked by number 21, Malcolm Butler, on the date 2-1 on the down 2nd-and-1, as Brady picked up his 21st postseason win. Now they meet this time in this Super Bowl for the 21st time, the Seahawks and Patriots, in the 21st Super Bowl hosted by NBC. And who puts the game away? Number 21 for the Seahawks on the 60th day of his age, helping force the turnover that put him up 28-7, thus a margin of plus 21. So anyway, this woman being from Grandview. Grandview equals 49-50. Just like Washington equals 49-50. Washington State avenges their Super Bowl 49 loss in the Seahawks' 50th season in San Francisco 50 land. And notice how San Francisco's 50-76. We all know what they did to OJ at 76 from the Bay Area. But yeah, the Seahawks' first season was in 76. Remember, the day after the Super Bowl, the Seahawks in Wilmington, Delaware beat Chattanooga 76-64. They beat them by 12. But yeah, San Francisco, we call it 50 land. Remember, they had the blackout there 50 days before the Super Bowl. It was connected to Bad Bunny with the Transformers going out in his performance, and the fact that Super Bowl 47 had the blackout 412 days after the 49ers had the blackout hosting the Steelers in Candlestick, the kind of thing you light when the power goes out. But yeah, 412 days before Super Bowl 47, like Pittsburgh's the 412 area code, the Steel City, which is the infrastructure for the power grid. And, you know, don't forget, this year the Browns became 4-12, upsetting the Steelers. And it's amazing this stuff goes over people's heads. The script, the rigging, the ritual murder. Remember Steelers fans years ago when Kevin Green died right before your primetime game? Stuff goes on all the time. Years back, I forget his name, but former Ram and 49er dies right before the Rams and 49ers play in primetime. It's like, okay, guy played for these two teams, and he's dead right before kickoff of a primetime game between these two teams. But yeah, Satanic also 22-50. San Francisco, the home of the Church of Satan, founded the year of the first Super Bowl season, 1966. Like 66 is how many books are in Protestant Bibles, where at the end of it, you learn about the battle between the good and evil. 22 chapters in Revelation. Seattle just improved to 2-2 in Super Bowls, beating Boston, the city that equals 22, who just appeared in their 22nd NBA Finals in 2022. Losing to Golden State and dropping to 17-5 like Golden State's 175. Anyway. Yeah, Revelation's also 49. Since Revelation teaches about 666, the number of the beast, Go figure. 666 total yards in this Super Bowl. The team that's known for the Beast Quake won it. Marshawn Lynch part of that play. Marshawn Lynch also part of the end of Super Bowl 49. Marshawn Lynch also from the Bay Area. Marshawn Neeland in the weird death this year. But yeah, 666 total yards of offense. All right. Kellen Moore. Now, to be fair to Kellen Moore, if you're out there, I saw that they changed your birthday online at the start of the year. It was July 5th. They moved it to July 12th. So I don't know what Kellen Moore's real birthday is, but as of now, online, it's July 12th. And from July 12th to the death of this Grandview woman, as she's called in the stories, 209 days. Look at the Gematria Grandview woman. 169, like we just talked about with Seattle Seahawks. 70 is interesting because gold is 70 and the 49ers just hosted the Super Bowl. Gold is also 16, like they won by 16. Remember, the 49ers won Super Bowl 16 on the anniversary of the gold rush beginning, which Seattle has a lot to do with. The Nordstrom Company out of Seattle made their fortune and got their start selling people mining gear for the gold rush back then, because Seattle's the last major city before people go up to Alaska, where a lot of it was done. But don't forget, if you spell out 49ers as a word, it equals 134. They won Super Bowl 16, 134 years to the day of the gold rush beginning. But anyway, the Seahawks have now allowed 70 points in Super Bowls. They gave up 21 and 40, 8 and 48, 28 and 49, 13 and 60. Added together, 70. So Seahawks have now allowed 70 points in Super Bowls. Dead 209 days after Kellen Moore's birthday, the new NFL coach, Washington product, who's right from the town where her funeral was today. And then also 74, like they say, the Grandview woman was killed in this police chase at approximately 7:40 p.m. And if you've never heard the song Murder by Numbers by the Police, look it up. I'll read the lyrics to you because I certainly can't sing. Once that you've decided on a killing, first you make a stone of your heart, and if you find that your hands are still willing, then you can turn a murder into art. There really isn't any need for bloodshed. You just do it with a little more finesse. If you can slip a tablet into someone's coffee, then it avoids an awful lot of mess. Because it's murder by numbers 1, 2, 3, it's as easy to learn as your ABCs. And they repeat because it's the chorus. Now, if you have a taste for this experience and you're flushed with your very first success, then you must try a twosome or a threesome, and you'll find your conscience bothers you much less. Because murder is like anything you take to. It's a habit-forming need for more and more. You can bump off every member of your family and anybody else you find a bore. And then we get into the chorus about killing by the code of ABC 1, 2, 3. Then it goes on. Now you can join the ranks of the illustrious. In history's great dark hall of fame, all our greatest killers were industrious, at least the ones that we all know by name. But you can reach the top of your profession if you become the leader of the land. For murder is the sport of the elected, and you don't need to lift a finger of your hand. Because it's murder by numbers, 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABC. And again, the question would still be, why do they need to kill all these people? Because it's obvious they are. Is it some form of blood magic? Is it just pure sick ritual? Is it how you earn your stripes and climb the ladder in this illustrious dark hall of fame? And I get annoyed when people are like, you really think cops would be out there killing? Cops I'd put at the top of the list to be out there killing people. Are you kidding me? Is your head that far up your ass? Again, one time in my life, I've been picked up by my neck and choked out, and I was a small child, and it was by a police officer who was my neighbor, who ironically, his last name was Cop, C-O-P-P. And why did he pick me up by my neck and choke me out as a small child? Because literally we were playing football. His son was 2 years younger than me. I threw him a pass, and it hit him in the face, and he got mad at me because he thought I threw it too hard. And he went and cried to his dad and was screaming to his dad that I hit him in the face. His dad didn't even know what was going on. He just came storming out of the house and grabbed me by the neck and picked me up. Yeah, these cops are aggressive. And isn't there a stat about how cops are the most likely people to beat their wives on the day of the Super Bowl? Because I'm pretty sure that's a statistic that's been around since I was a child as well. So if anyone out there is like, you think cops would do? Yeah, I'd put cops at the top of the list to do the worst things in our society. These people want to carry a gun. A lot of them probably want to shoot people. Probably got a lot right now that thinking taking out a brown person is probably, And I feel like that's part of it too, because this area I live in is highly Hispanic, and we all know that that was a big part of the halftime performance. Again, this is the area where the new NFL coach is from. And by the way, again, you see how Seattle and Saints both have the 82 and 19 thing? I wrote about this in my last book because Sean Payton, who was the coach of the Saints, he was the first coach with Cootie's 19. And by the way, you know, the word they changed it to, COVID, it's 82 as well. You see that? See, 82. But remember, the first case in the world outside of China in Seattle, and then the first coach with the Saints. Prosser is on I-82. And again, this year they set these fires out here in Prosser, and all these areas were burnt up, including the high school that Kellen Moore went to. And out here in eastern Washington, it doesn't look like western Washington or Seattle where it's all green. Everything's brown and dry. It looks like California, dry rolling hills, high desert. So all along I-82, it's all black from the burn and gold from what wasn't burned. Looked just like the Saints colors. I was like, look at this. Crazy. And it was before they changed Kellen Moore's birthday. Back then it was July 5th. The fire was on the 25th day of his age. Like fire's 25. I'm like, And you see how fire's also 38, just like Prosser is. Prosser's 43 as well. Today's the 43rd day of the year that they have this funeral for the woman. And again, football's also 43, and so is Masonic and Killing and RIP, and again, Seattle Seahawks. So, I mean, there's the chance that somehow, some way, just all of this stuff's a coincidence. But like I said, I just never seen any scene like that at the church. And just knowing what I know in my head while I was working out, I was like, okay, 43rd day of the year, leaving 322 days remaining. By the way, look at the plane that the Seahawks flew into Seattle in. The image is out there. I saw other people showing it. They came in on plane 322. 322. That's Skull and Bones. Remember, Walter Camp of Yale. By the way, Yale's another 43 word. Like number 43 went to Yale. George W. Bush. And it came down to Florida, 43, where his brother was the 43rd governor. But yeah, the Seahawks came in on plane 322. Sam Darnold, he had 202 passing yards. Skull and Bones, 202. Also 76, like the Seahawks' first season. Again, if you're new here, George Herbert Walker Bush was born June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year. He was the 41st president. His son, born on July 6th, was 43. Yeah, Skull and Bones, very much connected to the NFL and American football. But yeah, Darnold had 202 passing yards. San Francisco is also 202. And check this out. Sam Darnold, date of birth. By the way, Sam Darnold, born the same day Patriot games came out, the same day that Charlie Kirk founded Turning Point USA. Remember, the only time Brady played in Seattle was on Charlie Kirk's 19th birthday. Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump both equal 60. Their assassinations 60 weeks apart, which are all part of the script. It's crazy how they synced it up with Charlie Kirk and Kobe, who dropped 60 in his last NBA game. And keep in mind, Charlie Kirk and Kobe Bryant are both in unmarked graves. I wouldn't be surprised if they're alive and well and kicking somewhere right now. But I don't think Maria Mendoza is. And anyway, I want to show you this. Sam Darnold, Russell Wilson, the winning quarterbacks for the Super Bowl. Look at this. November 29th, June 5th. From Russell Wilson's birthday to his birthday, they're 188 days apart. Bavarian Illuminati is 188, like the U.S. dollar bill denominations add up to 188. Remember, Skull and Bones is literally modeled after the Illuminati. And the other way, 177 days, like the Jesuit order. But yeah. What are the odds? What are the odds this woman would die at 57 in the way she did, having the birthday that she did, 4 days after her birthday? And again, just because a part of me wonders if somewhere along the way she might have crossed paths with one of these NFL families, because she's connected to Sunnyside. You know who's from Sunnyside? The Cup family. And again, you know, Cooper Kupp, his father and his grandfather, they're from Sunnyside. She works in Sunnyside. Sunnyside, Grandview, where she's from, is just between Prosser and Sunnyside. But obviously, Cooper Kupp had a big Super Bowl. He was the leading receiver for the Seahawks. It just makes me wonder, somewhere along the way, did she cross paths with these families? Yeah, Kupp, leading receiver for the Seahawks. And remember, Super Bowl 60, the 56th of the modern era. Speaking of 56th of the modern era, we've seen a number of deaths connected to 56 as well. Seattle, WA. It has the 106 connection and the 56 connection, and I suppose the 25 connection too, since this was the 2025 season. But look at this. Terry Scroggins, dead at 56. He was one of the original members to file for CTE, or the lawsuit against the NFL over CTE, and that was in 2015, the year of 49. But no, so he had 60 and a half career sacks. He's dead right after Super Bowl 60, the 56th Super Bowl of the modern era. He was born on September 11th. Should remind you of the Patriots coming in to the game, 9-11 versus the Seahawks. Remember, Seattle has a lot to do with 9/11. Again, Magnus and Klemenkic Associates, who helped build the World Trade Centers, also built Levi's Stadium, where the Seahawks just won the Super Bowl. Again, the man who designed the World Trade Centers, Japanese-American from Seattle. Tracy Scroggins was drafted in 92. Seattle Seahawks have the 92 connection. He died on a date that can be written 9-2 or 2-9. Again, the Seahawks just won with 29 points. Bad Bunny, don't forget it. Bad Bunny, the exact same as football in every cipher. And yeah, just to also recap the fact that this woman died on Friday, the same day as Sonny Jorgensen, the same day Barry Wilburn burned up, and the same day as Terrence Gore. Again, here's Sonny Jorgensen, number 9, as the Seahawks stay on 9 losses. Notice Jorgensen, his surname equals Super Bowl. Dead at 91. His Washington Redskins have been renamed as the Commanders, which they did in the 91st season. Again, he's dead in the town of the Seahawks, UNC Wilmington. Sonny equals Seahawks. And yeah, what they did all these things tied in. Lil Jon, his son dead 2 years after he performed in the Super Bowl. But yeah, Sonny Jorgensen played for Philly and Washington. Again, Birds and the other Washington team. And let me see, what was I saying here? He was the 43rd pick of the draft and dead 43 years after making the Hall of Fame in 83, right before the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. UNC Wilmington Seahawks had just picked up their 19th win the night before he died, like Seattle equals 19, like they were up 19-0. Again, on the anniversary of the 19-foot-tall Kobe statue, with the whole Charlie Kirk ritual where Tom Brady played on Kirk's 19th birthday in Seattle, the only time he played there. Or Wilmington stayed on 19 wins, in that game. They stayed on 19 wins the night before his death, the big Seattle number. Don't forget, you guys, Seattle advanced to the Super Bowl exactly 19 weeks after the Pope's birthday, improving to 19-19 in the postseason. And again, the last 3 times there was a new Pope, the Seahawks went to the Super Bowl. Barry Wilburn, dead the same day as Sonny Jorgensen, who also played for the Washington Commanders, a.k.a. Redskins, and the Eagles. Wilburn burns up in a house fire. I mean, come on. And dead at 62 on a date that can be written 6-2 when sacrifice equals 62. His biggest season was in 87, and he was born on December 9th. Seahawks 87 and 129. Again, if you missed it, Darnold finished the year on 129 touchdowns for his career as the Seahawks became 12-9 versus the Patriots. Remember, Scott Laidlaw, the Super Bowl 12 champ, died right before the Super Bowl on 129, another way to express 12-9. Terrence Gore, announced dead right before the Super Bowl, died the same day as this woman, and Jorgensen and Wilburn. His name 129, won his first championship the year of Super Bowl 49. Barry Wilburn died on the 60th day of his age, right before Super Bowl 60. Barry Todd Wilburn, 206, like Seattle, the 206, is Jason Myers, the kicker for football. sets a record with 206 points. Again, Russell Wilson, 206 passing yards in Super Bowl 48. Sacrifice in the what we now call Latin cipher, 206. And don't forget what they did to Kenny Easley. Kenny Easley, the Seahawks great, died this season 86 days before the Super Bowl on the 303rd day of his age. Broncos 86, Denver the 303 area code. At that time, Seattle only beaten the Broncos in Super Bowls. But then this year, a different Kenny Walker III, becomes the first running back MVP since the Bronco Terrell Davis. Where did it go? Yeah, Kenny Easley right here, dead on the 303rd day of his age. Dead on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year. Like Seattle's the city on the 47th parallel, like beast equals 47. He started in 87 games. But yeah, these were all the tells for the script. Dead at 66, like the 66 season was the first Super Bowl season. Seahawks just dropped the Patriots to 6-6 in Super Bowls. And notice him and was it also Wilburn? Wilburn. They both wore 45, right? New England equals 45. Check something out here. This Maria Mendoza, who died. She turned 45 the day of Super Bowl 48. She's dead at 57 right after her birthday, 12 years later. So she had to have turned 45 the day of their only Super Bowl win. Also suspicious. Yeah. There's Terrence Gore. Don't forget, he died 122 days before his upcoming birthday. Won his first World Series with Kansas City. This year will be the 122nd World Series. You know what's wild? If you go to May 2nd, the 122nd day of the year, the last game on the slate for baseball is Seattle on the 122nd Meridian versus Kansas City. Remember that game, May 2nd. See what they do in that one. But yeah, this is totally wicked stuff here. And yeah, I don't think this was an accident. All right. My babysitter just let me know. Sweet girl's ready to pick up. But yeah. Yeah, for anyone in the Mendoza family, if you come across this video, again, this is put out here because people are being killed for these championships every single year. People need to stop supporting these leagues. And our authorities in our land, they need to be done away with. They are not keeping us safe. Our authorities are abusing us. They're overtaxing us. I have no doubt that there are murder squads within these police departments nationwide. I have zero doubt about it. Go look at those NFL stories this year that didn't make any sense. The player who died in police custody, and also the Marshawn Nealon story that made no sense, where they also brought out the police chase thing. I'm going to see if I can get in contact and visit this 18-year-old in jail. I'm going to see if that's possible. We need to advance this research, and anytime something happens in my neck of the woods, I'm going to take every opportunity I can. If you guys missed it the other year, the Kroger shooting on February 7th, a few years back, also in Pasco, where this happened. That was also in Pasco, for the record. Again, we got to talk to the police chief who was in the national news that day, Commander Chris Lee, and he admitted everything to me on camera. YouTube took down the video, but it's still up on my BitChute. He said, I understand why you're out here questioning these things, and he was honest. He said, yes, even though I am the spokesperson of the news, he said, I'm not allowed to look at anything. I haven't been inside the store. I'm getting all my details through my phone, and the feds are in control of the situation. So this is that same police department that Commander Chris Lee works for. And, you know, funny enough that this news story broke on February 7th, the night after it happened, the anniversary of that Pasco shooting at the Fred Meyer owned by Kroger. And by the way, Kroger's another big 74 corporation. If you guys forgot that one, they said a 38-year-old killed a 38-year-old on the 38th day of the year. It's another major pattern with these killing things. Murder by numbers. They put the 38 right on the cover, just like the song title. Murder 38 in 83. The song out in 83. Sandra Bullock, the star of the movie, 83. came out 38 weeks and a day after her birthday. Killing Death, R.I.P., Gematria, English Kabbalah. Look up the song Gematria, the Killing Name. 2 members of that band, Slipknot, have died in connection to 38. One at age 38, the other on 38 date numerology. But yeah, all of this comes from Kabbalah, so. Yeah, I did want to cover a few other things, including the Kurt Cobain thing. I'll save it for later. But yeah, thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to Markella Scott. I recognize you, Markella. Thanks for becoming a member. You've been around for a long time. Thank you. I haven't seen your name in a minute. Thank you as well, Cashville Lady. And shout out to Rick James for gifting a membership. I appreciate it. All right, we'll leave it there for now, True Seeker. Till next time.